There's a lot of different takes about the debate. My take and a lot of other channels that are similar to this one have pretty much a unanimous decision, if I'm not mistaken. That's been that Pierre Poilievre did, swept the floor, mopped the floor of Mark Carney. And that stands to be true. I still very much firmly believe that. There's other parts of it, the nitty gritty details, such as Mark Carney asking about Pierre Poilievre's security clearance, or the kerfuffle that took place outside of the debate area behind stage, the whole Rebel News interaction with the debate commission and how the post-debate scrum got canceled and who that hurts. And all of that is explained in this video. In fact, Tom Mulcair sits down. That's what we're analyzing the whole video over. Tom Mulcair sits down with CTV and he actually defends Pierre Poilievre with a bunch of things, such as a security clearance, completely debunks all of that, right? And they even quoted Tom Mulcair in that debate. And that's very important because I'm going to save you the time, and I'm going to tell you right now that Tom Mulcair comes out and says that that entire talking point was made up by Justin Trudeau specifically to hurt Pierre Poilievre. Where is your security clearance? That's not a true thing at all. He doesn't need one. There's no benefit. It's not required. Like, how many different words do I have to use for that to make sense to people? And Tom Mulcair comes out as previous leader of the frickin' NDP, a federal party, says, yeah, no, he was absolutely right in all of his decisions around the security clearance. And that singular question could be a pivotal moment in this election. Woo-wee! Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does tremendously help grow the channel. We are en route to 500,000, 500,000 subscribers. And it'd be freaking awesome if we got there sooner than later. And we gotta talk, since we're talking about security clearances, we gotta talk about how to protect yourself, specifically in this day and age, specifically online, which is a perfect segue into today's sponsor, Private Internet Access. I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Private Internet Access. We're offering my audience 83% off for using code SUNSHINE, which can be found linked down below in the description or the pinned comment below. We're living in a crazy time of censorship here in Canada, and that's all thanks to Justin Trudeau, or whoever the hell is really calling the shots with the Liberal Party since he resigned, but not really resigned. He wants to make sure you can't see the news. He also wants to make sure that you can't access certain content on Netflix, on Hulu, and on Disney Plus, which we all know if you listen to Chrystia Freeland, you shouldn't have Disney Plus. So the way around this is with a VPN such as Private Internet Access. For those who don't know what a VPN is, it's a way to encrypt your data. It's like putting a cloak over yourself so you can freely browse the internet without feeling like your personal information is at risk, or the government getting and then selling your personal information. The best way that I like to go about this, the best cloak that I like to use, is Private Internet Access, which again can be found linked down below in the description or the pinned comment below, or simply using code SUNSHINE. Thank you so much, Private Internet Access, for sponsoring today's video. And without further ado, here we go. Buckle up. Let's watch this whole interview, this video with a lot of commentary together, because this is freaking juicy.
Whether or not your ears were burning in just a moment, as you figured prominently at the end of the debate. I first of all, though, want to get your overall impression of what went on stage last night. Was there a knockout punch? Did it change anything?
No knockout punch. Both main protagonists, that is to say, Prime Minister Carney and Mr. Poilievre, I think they both did very well. Carney is in one of those positions where he just has to keep a lid on things. He didn't want to slip on a banana peel or give his adversaries an occasion to have an aha moment. Mr. Singh did a lot of talking over the other people who were on the stage. That was unfortunate. The night before, he had actually gone after the moderator. So obviously a lot of pressure on his shoulders right now.
Out of all the candidates, Mr. Singh, Jagmeet Singh, ranked the lowest on my scale. And I think everybody's scale. I mean, it was a unanimous decision that the greasiest, most disingenuous, most disrespectful, least professional individual on that debate stage was Jagmeet. Like, I don't know what kind of penalties or repercussions there should be, but he's certainly getting a natural, natural karma, right? He's getting that backlash, and it's going to reflect in the poll. So should he be penalized in a different way? I don't know, but he's definitely being penalized for his career and his entire party, which really shouldn't make me this happy, but I just can't help but smile. Like, I don't know a single person that would support the NDP at this point. And there's a lot of wackos out there. But what Jagmeet displayed is that, one, he should never, ever, ever have an ounce of power. He is incapable of regulating his emotions. My 3-year-old daughter can do a better job of that. And she's going through the terrible 2s or the horrible 3s or whatever the heck it's called, right? Horrible politician and horrible display of what you should not be doing. Like, that was the best example of, hey, anybody who ever wants to run in politics, don't be this guy.
Mr. Blanchette, I mean, the question could be honestly asked if he should have been on that stage at all, given the fact that they are far from the 90% of seats, where you have to be running candidates. They're only running them in Quebec.
Going back to the rank structure that I had, it was Pierre first, Yves-François Poutine second, Carney third, Jag last. And talking about second place, I mean, the Bloc has some okay zingers in the House of Commons on a semi-regular basis, and very infrequently do they have really good zingers in debates. And it's usually the leader himself, Yves-François Poutine, Blanchette, whatever you want to call him. But during this debate, the French and the English, I mean, he did a really good job of hitting on Carney and Jagmeet. Ooh, that doesn't sound very good, right? That sounds horrible for you, Carney. Like, it was so funny, right? And it was professional. It wasn't interruptive like Jagmeet. It's super funny to watch. And the fact that he was even allowed to be there is kind of funny as well, because no disrespect to French people or Quebec, but the Bloc is a provincial party, and having a seat at the federal table, I mean, how much longer is this really going to be a thing in Canada? But putting those emotions and that rhetoric aside, he did a pretty good job of not targeting Pierre because he has nothing to gain from it, and just targeting the others. And it was pretty funny. I think we're going to revisit that in the future to just watch for, comic relief, because there was some good points in there.
He did his best. He again, he took shots that were completely gratuitous because he has no financial documents to put on the table. He doesn't have to. He's never going to have to make a decision about anything in the real world. So the two main people, of course, Carney and Poilievre were going at it strongly. And sometimes Mr. Poilievre had learned the trick of talking over Mr. Carney, and the moderator didn't react to that as I think he might have. There was a certain limit that was reached where nobody watching could understand a word that was being said. And that's not fair for your opponent, and it's not fair for the listening public. Overall, there was something outside of the debate that caused a lot of the details to be pushed to the bottom of the page of the newspaper articles, and it's the stunt of the fake journalists for the fake news outlets, right-wing outlets that are fairly favorable to Mr. Poilievre. And why that's a shame for Mr. Poilievre is because he did well in the debate.
I agree that Pierre Poilievre did well. I'm actually going to say he did exceptionally well. I don't exactly see how this entire stunt or series of unfortunate events that took place really hurts Pierre, other than limiting his platform to answer any questions by media or independent media in that post-debate scrum. I think this just hurts the entire democratic process that we have in Canada. I think that whoever was in charge is gonna get their ass handed to them down the road. Like, that was horrible to cancel that scrum based off of a kerfuffle that took place behind stage by reporters. Like, come on, man. You're literally interfering in the election process, because that scrum is huge. It was huge after the French one. We now know Carney thinks there's only 2 genders. Well, for sex, right? Like, that's a huge thing that only ever got asked in that moment. It's never been asked to Carney, or Carney has never given an answer, but he finally did. And that's just one candidate. So you got to see Jagmeet Singh completely ignore questions from Rebel News. You know where this is going with this, right? You know where I'm going to say with this, right? Yeah. No, I don't take questions from Rebel News, blah, 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 whatever the heck he said, right? Completely being a bit of a sporadic maniac by not allowing the democratic process to unravel itself. So a very big failure on the system. It doesn't singularly hurt Pierre Poilievre, other than it hurts all the candidates from not giving them the ability to speak a little bit more and answer questions. But to single out Pierre, that it hurts Pierre as if Pierre has a financial stake or is close to Rebel News, buddies with Rebel News. I've never seen that. Rebel News does their own thing. Pierre is just as far from Rebel News as he is from like all the YouTubers. Like I've never seen Pierre. I don't think Pierre's ever been interviewed by Rebel News. He's been interviewed by Juno North, crying out loud. Juno News, True North used to be, right? But I think this just hurts Canada as a whole, not Pierre Poilievre.
There are things that he could have and should have been talking about in terms of the debate, but instead people were talking about the gong show put on by these, like, as I say, these extreme right-wing media, and they were putting on a show to draw attention to themselves and maybe get eyeballs on their websites and that sort of thing. But I'm not sure it helped Mr. Poilievre. In fact, I'm quite convinced of the contrary. So
this one is a bit of a tricky one. What they're making reference to is this piece right here, where after the debate, there's a post-debate scrum where you can have media and independent media ask questions. We saw this with the French debate. Now, there wasn't that in the English one, and they canceled it because of a security issue. They said that there was a security concern, and that's why they canceled it. But what they meant by that was Ezra Levant, if I'm not mistaken, and Rebel News was the concerti securing. What is wrong with me? Security concern. Debates chief cancel post-debate Q&A after Rebel News clash with reporters. That's a huge, mistake on their part to cancel the questions after behind the stage, thing happened. I mean, this is our election, the most pivotal election that we've ever experienced, and more eyes than ever were on the English debate. And we didn't get to hear any questions afterwards because of this. Give me a break, man. The head of the Leaders Debate Commission canceled a planned question and answer session between journalists and party leaders scheduled to take place after Thursday's English language debate, following heated exchanges between reporters and representatives of the right-wing media group Rebel News. The commission's executive director, Michael Cormier, also said Thursday that he was not aware that Rebel News had registered as an official third party in the federal election when the commission gave the group more opportunities to question leaders following Wednesday's French debate than most mainstream outlets. And there were a lot of independent media questions. I'm sorry to announce that there will be no scrum tonight with the leaders because we don't feel that we can actually guarantee a proper environment for this activity, Cormier told reporters after Thursday's debate. He refused to explain the decision. Rebel News and other right-wing media outlets dominated the question and answer session with federal party leaders after Wednesday's French language debate. So there's multiple takeaways from this. One is the fact that what are you doing canceling a scrum like this while after the most popular debate that Canada has ever had. There's never been more eyes on an election debate than what we just saw. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people watched online, probably even more so tied to their TVs, right? And so this was huge. It was like the Canadian Super Bowl, like the Grey Cup, but a little bit better than the Grey Cup, if I can actually say that without offending people that are fans of the Grey Cup, because NFL definitely beats the Grey Cup in every single capacity. But getting back to the matter at hand, there's two takeaways. One is our government sucks for canceling this. Cormier sucks a bag of something that people don't want to be sucking on a bag of for canceling this and guising it under security concerns. And the second thing is, what the heck were you guys doing, Rebel News? I don't really know the ins and outs of what happened. I'm not even that interested in inspecting this and investigating this. I couldn't really care less. But why are you there to cause a ruckus? Oh, it's just an absolute shit show. But hey, as somebody who's been, attacked by the mainstream media for quite literally breathing air in a different city, I can see how the mainstream media likes to take things out of context and basically try to fit their narrative. So is Ezra Levant and Rebel News to blame? Probably not. Could the situation been handled better by all parties? Yeah, probably, but Cormier and people that are running the debate, I mean, you guys suck for canceling this. I want my money back. Like, if this was a ticket that I purchased to watch, I want a refund, dude. We deserve the right to see that scrum, and we did not get it.
Actually, I was quite surprised he wasn't asked about that when he was before the cameras a short time ago. And as a result of that, the post-debate scrums were canceled. They were called down. So that deprives Canadians, I think.
Just so people understand this, Marcia, we understand that terminology, the post-debate scrums, but that's the 10 minutes where real journalists get to ask real questions of the candidates, and you have to stand there and you're going to say how well you did in the debate and how awful the others were, but you're going to eventually have to answer a few good questions, and a lot of juice comes out of those meetings between journalists and the candidates at those post-debate scrums. Yes, they were canceled. I mean, there will be a postmortem on the famous Leaders Debate Commission. Yeah. I have a feeling that the Leaders Debate Commission will be decommissioned as soon as this thing is over. They did an abysmal job.
So I'm failing to understand how this hurts Pierre Poilievre in any single way. I don't think Pierre has any ties to Ezra. And yes, Rebel News, they may be more pro Pierre than other parties, but I don't think that hurts Pierre at all. Like, objectively speaking, in the eyes of radical left-wing people, I mean, they're probably eating this up going, I told you so, I told you so. And it's like, come on, Susan, put your dentures back in. You're going to hurt your back. Go to sleep. It's 5:30 at night. You're going to pull a back muscle. And it kind of pisses me off that we missed out on that scrum because, yeah, the French one did get a little bit out of hand. And, I kind of like those edgier things, the edgier comments. But nonetheless, it's a great opportunity for Canadians to see what's going on, right? I mean, Jagmeet Singh refusing to take questions from, independent media after it was a very well professionally orchestrated question. It's nuts. And so that really hurts Jagmeet. But at the same time, do we really want to hurt Jagmeet more? Because a lot of those NDP supporters are gravitating towards Liberals, which hurts our chances of getting Pierre in. So come on, guys, vote for Jagmeet. I should cut that out. It's going to be clipped and taken out of context. Moving on, folks.
Let me get now to your sort of cameo. I'm going to play that sound where you were brought up, and we're going to get your reaction to it. Let's listen.
Sure.
Now, given that Canada has experienced Chinese interference by Beijing, the government of China, in 2 consecutive elections, I needed to do my job to speak freely without fear of prosecution. And that was not something I would be allowed to do. Even Thomas Mulcair, the former leader of the NDP, said that when he was the leader of the opposition, he never would have accepted the kind of gag order that your government and Mr. Trudeau's government was attempting to impose on me.
Okay, so he was being asked about why he hasn't read those documents, something that you and I have talked about a number of times. I got to be frank with you, Tom. I've never understood why you don't think he should read them. So give us your thoughts around that exchange and how you were characterized and what you think will come from that, if anything.
I'm not going to put myself in the legions of the misquoted. Mr. Poilievre gave a perfect accounting of my position on this, which is the same as his. You're not just a member of parliament. Every MP is beholden to their voters, Marcia, but you're the leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition. In my case, it was Her Majesty's. And you have a special job to do under the Constitution and institutionally. And no, you should not have your hands tied by going and seeing documents that the government says, now you're not allowed to talk about this issue anymore. You can't talk about what we've just shown you. That's a mug's game. And he was right to refuse it. Now, there's another aspect to this, as a political observer and no longer as the former head of the opposition that I found interesting. Mr. Carney, like the other leaders, had a total of one question that he was allowed to ask any other leader. Mr. Carney chose to ask that one on the issue of security clearance to Mr. Poilievre. How in heaven's name did that make it all the way up to Mr. Carney? What staffer said, oh, we've really got Poilievre on this one, let's go after it?
If there is a pivotal moment in this entire election, it's probably all around that singular question. I mean, you have Trudeau's dumb staffers. Hi, who are probably watching this video studying. You have those Trudeau dumb staffers that said, you know what, this is what Trudeau would want, so let's continue to badger the security clearance. And to be honest, Pierre Poilievre's answer was not only extremely phenomenal, it was reserved. He held on to that. He... What is wrong with me? Oh my goodness. Not to like blue ball himself, but kind of. He never prematurely gave that answer. He's had many times during question period and during, reporters asking him about this. And he waited. He held on to this insane comeback of an answer. And finally it came out. And it's like, oh my goodness. He was waiting for that, and that was a Babe Ruth home run, man. That was really phenomenal. And I know it's like a little small moment, and yeah, it's a phenomenal zinger to the average conservative supporter, right? Like, I think it was great. But speaking to people that are a little bit more liberal or even teeter-tottering on the fence about, me directly speaking to, but also indirectly speaking, just hearing through the grapevine of people that were on the fence about whether they were going to vote Carney or Pierre. That debate, that question, kind of solidified a lot of people's minds. And I know at least like 3 or 4 or 5 people 100% without a doubt that we're going to vote for Carney and that now or in favor of Carney, and they're now choosing to vote for Pierre based off of that English debate. And I haven't spent like a whole lot of time talking to a lot of people about this, but that just goes to show that that's how important these things are. They can sway public opinion very, very like dramatically. And so this election, it's so down to the wire right now. And it's so important for this type of these debates, especially the scrums to happen. Again, I know I already talked about it in great length, but I'm very disappointed that scrum didn't happen. Like, extremely disappointed. Even if they just shut out independent media or the ones that they wanted to shut out and just let it continue. It's a darn shame that didn't happen. But nonetheless, that security question clearance answer that Pierre Poilievre gave, Carney thought he had a little bit of a layup, and Pierre dunked on Carney. And I mean, that's going to be talked about for weeks to come. I mean, it was a pretty good freaking moment.
Poilievre's answer, he cracked it out of the ballpark. He said, I've got a security clearance that I've had since I was the Minister of Housing and Minister back in Harper's day. No, I'm not going to have my hands tied by the government. I'm the leader of the opposition. I have a job to do. And so how is it possible that in the shop around Mr. Carney, the same elves who were there for Mr. Trudeau, this was a made-up thing by Mr. Trudeau to try to push back against Pierre Poilievre at the time, because Trudeau was in such dire difficulty on foreign interference. He had tried to give it to David Johnston, the former Governor General. He then handed it off to a royal commission that basically said, yeah, we got to be careful, but didn't name any names. So this was a made-up thing by Justin Trudeau to fight back against Poilievre. The fact that somehow somebody around Mark Carney, who's now the Prime Minister, who's running, and is doing very well, made that into his hands as the question against Poilievre. That's a mystery that I'd love to find the answer to, because it made no sense that he was asking that question.
So a wasted opportunity, in other words.
Absolutely. Well said.
So now we have it on the record by previous NDP leader. Once upon a time, I think he was House Speaker, ran for Prime Minister, right? Tom Mulcair, now CTV political analyst, like reoccurring guest. Like if he's on a TV show, he's a reoccurring guest, man. On the record, admitting that this was made up by Justin Trudeau to hurt Pierre. And the same organization in which he's speaking on right now, CTV reporters, have continued to try to badger Pierre. Wait about your clearance. They keep doing it. You've heard from somebody who was on the inside that it was literally made up. Like, it's not correct at all. And because it was still promoted by the mainstream media, you have people out there, genuine people that are going to vote or have pre-voted, that think, why won't Pierre get his security clearance? It's like, yo, wake up, man. It's made up. Like, he's had one. He doesn't need one right now. Literally, there's nothing in his job description. There's no perks to the trade of getting that security clearance. It's 100% made up. It's called fake news to try and hurt your political opponent. And that's the thing about politics right now. It's become so greasy. It's like whoever has the loudest voice, whether it's correct or, in this case, whether it's insanely incorrect, quite literally, mis and disinformation being promoted by not only our government, like Mark Carney, his staffers, the entire Liberal Party, the NDP, for crying out loud, and Elizabeth May even, but also all of our mainstream media, journalists. They keep badgering this, and they have for like over a year, or however long Trudeau was talking about it. And it made it to the biggest stage in Canadian politics, the freaking debate. That's it. We don't really see them other than their own little rallies and interactions with reporters. They're not face to face again until the House of Commons resumes, until they go back to Parliament. So that was a very weird opportunity that you didn't have I know it's different than the American debates, but you didn't have an in real person fact check and say, that's just false news. Like, you can't use this platform to spread mis and disinformation. But I guess everyone had the right to defend themselves. So there was that. But yeah, it just goes to show you, mainstream media is quite literally corrupting our country by spreading fake freaking news. That, ladies and gentlemen, concludes today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, it'd be super awesome for you guys to show some appreciation by doing the most beneficial thing for this channel, and it's absolutely free. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all later for another video. Bye for now.